Hey guys, Richard here with Downgrid Survival. So have you been thinking about prepping or becoming a prepper? Well, that's what this video is all about. It's to help all of you who are just getting started or just exploring the idea of prepping and becoming a prepper. So really, all it's about is being self-reliant, being better prepared for any type of emergency or disaster that happens in your area, and it's being prepared to deal with those situations. So that's really all prepping is about, and that's all it's really about as being a prepper, okay? So let's talk about that for a moment, because there's a lot of different ways that you can get started with this. First of all, thank you for clicking on this video. Doing research is number one, right? You just need to get out there and you need to learn about it, figure out what it is you need to do and what it is that you may need to acquire. There's lots of channels out there that will help you with this. First, I hope you subscribe to this channel. But also, there's a few other channels that I would like to recommend that are some of my favorites. And I get nothing out of recommending these channels, okay? But top of the list would be City Prepping. That's one you definitely want to go and check out. A couple others would be the Provident Preppers. Very, very good couple there. Knows what they're doing, been doing it pretty much their entire life. A lot of good information to share there. Another one comes to mind would be Goshen Prepping. Again, another family just doing a really good job putting out some good content and teaching people and showing people how to do things. Magic Prepper is one of my favorites. He's a great guy. He's got a lot of good content that helps those of us that are in the preparedness community and new to preparedness. And let's see, if I think of any more, I'll put a list of all of them down below so you can go and easily find those channels. So that's number one, just doing your research and figuring it out. Now, number two is doing your research at home, figuring out what it is that you have and what it is that you need in order to be more self-reliant for you and your family in the event of some type of emergency. For a lot of people, it's simply stocking food and having a food storage available in the event there's limited income. Maybe somebody loses a job and you have to rely on your food storage for a while to get by. A lot of people look at it that way. But there's many other disasters and emergencies you want to be thinking about. There's natural disasters, man-made disasters, and quite frankly, with everything that's going on right now, changes in our government, changes in our society is driving a lot of new people, such as yourself, to videos like mine, looking for ideas on how to start prepping. So I applaud your efforts, and I applaud the fact that you have the mindset to recognize and understand the world around you is changing. Because I would bet a lot of your friends, a lot of your family are going about living their daily life, not thinking twice about what could happen tomorrow or next week or next month. So that's great that you have taken these steps. Now, a couple administrative things to get out of the way real quick. And that is, if you're just starting with your prepping journey, know that it's probably best and really important for the security of yourself and your family that you don't advertise to all your friends and family that you have become a prepper and that you're stockpiling food and other necessary supplies. The reason being is, even though right now you might trust your best friend and you might trust specific family members in your life, if things go bad and get really, really bad, like a lot of us in the prepping community are expecting, a lot of these people who are your best friends or close family members, they're going to know that you have food and you have medical supplies and other necessities, and they're going to come knocking. And chances are you don't have enough for everybody, and you're going to have to turn people away and say, sorry, I can't help you because I have to feed myself or my children. No one knows just how quickly a desperate person will start doing desperate things. And it's not something that people like to think about it. And most of you are probably thinking, oh, Bob would never do that, or John would never do that, or Jill, she's my best friend. She won't say anything. She'd never do that. Well, and in some cases that might be true. But what you don't know is how many people Bob, Bill, John, Jill, how many people they've talked to and mention that you're prepping and you have a stockpile of food. Guaranteed, if ever the grocery stores get wiped out and there's no longer food at their grocery store, people are going to remember you and they're going to come looking, okay? That's why you don't advertise it to everyone that, hey, I'm a prepper and I'm prepping, and, you know, post pictures on social media of all your stuff that you've acquired. And that's why you don't do those things. Number two is, for me at least, I only trust the people in my home, that live in my home. So, you know, my wife and my adult kids who are currently living with us, they know what I'm doing and they're all participating. Outside that, and, you know, 100,000 people out there watching this video are the only ones that know what I have. But all of you don't know where I live, so I feel like I'm a little safe, and I hope to keep it that way. But, you know, things can happen, and people can find out who you are and where you live. So let's talk a little more about, you know, where you get started now. Moving forward, what do you need to buy? So start with, what do you have? You know, break it out, grab a piece of paper, start writing down everything that you have that you might need in a disaster situation. Break things down into about 5 different categories. Go with food, water, medical, personal security, or defense tools. There's words we can't say when we're making these type of videos, because the algorithms and it just draws unwanted attention to us. And so there's certain things that you know, I can't say on this particular channel because my channel isn't made for that. But defense tools, you know what I'm talking about. And then energy. So those are the 5 main categories you should probably look at and say, hey, what do we have for food? Well, do you have a week? Do you have 2 weeks? Do you have 3 months? A lot of people in the prepping community want to have, you know, at least 3 months, 6 months. A lot of us have a year or even multiple years worth of food stored up. Now, that may seem overwhelming if you're just getting started. That's okay. It takes time, but once you get started and once you kind of get into it, things will start adding up pretty quickly. So look at your food supply and identify how much food you and your family are going to need for, you know, 3 months, 6 months, a year. Next, water. Consider where you're going to get your water. Water may not be available coming out of the tap, and you can only buy so many cases of water to have stacked up in the closet. So you need to look at how to clean and purify water that you can find from other sources, and to be able to sustain yourself for, you know, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it takes. And there's a lot of different things that you can get, and a lot of different techniques you can use in order to clean and purify water. But that's really needs to be at the top of your list, because a person can't live more than about 3 days without water. So you got to have it. You want to look at things like, are you able to collect rainwater? Does it rain much in your area? Are there streams and rivers in your areas, or ponds or lakes in your area, someplace where you might be able to easily access to get water? And then know how to clean and purify it. Next is take a look at and make a list of all your medical supplies. Almost everyone has some type of first aid kits and have a limited supply of over-the-counter medications. That's great. That's a good way to get started. But think long-term. What type of, you know, especially in an emergency situation, you're going to be dealing with things that more than just a paper cut, okay? You may have to deal with broken bones. You may have to deal with large wounds where somebody got hurt in a natural disaster and it's days before somebody can get to you, or if society collapses and there's just no medical help available and somebody gets really sick in your family, you need to know how to take care of them, and you need to have the necessary supplies in order to take care of them. So that means stocking up on some medical supplies, extra bandages, you know, large bandages, splints, and just a number of medical supplies, to include medications. Carefully consider anyone in your home that already takes prescription medications, and take a look at that and figure out what you might be able to do. Talk to your doctor, figure out what you might be able to do to get an extra supply of some of those medications. Antibiotics is huge. So many people die from a simple infection that could have easily been dealt with and taken care of if they simply had an antibiotic. And there are ways that you can stock up on antibiotics, okay? There's a company called Jase Medical that will sell you antibiotics, and from a board certified doctor, it allows you to get these so you can have them stockpiled in your home. And then of course there's other things like, and you got to be real careful here, you'll learn a lot about people saying animal antibiotics. Don't take animal antibiotics. They're not made for human consumption, with one exception, and that is some fish antibiotics. Some are human grade. Okay, they come in they're human grade. They're made in the same facility that human grade antibiotics are made in. They come in the same prescription size as human grade antibiotics do. And so if you do some research, you'll find that, you'll learn about it. It's not something I'm advocating by any means. I'm just saying that's an alternative. But now that this company called Jase Medical recently, about a year ago, started selling antibiotics from a board certified doctor who is a prepper himself, that's the way to go. That is clearly the way to go to get antibiotics, but do that. So just consider your family's medical needs and address those first, and make sure you have whatever supplies and things necessary on hand for that. Next, your personal security and defense. So, a lot of people are comfortable with, guns and rifles, and a lot of people aren't. They just never been around them. So there are some alternatives to that. There's mace, and there's baseball bats and other things that you can have that will help you in some instances, but nothing's going to protect you like a firearm will. So take a hard look at that. If you're uncomfortable with them or have no experience with them at all, then maybe that is something you talk to a family member about, that maybe you have a family member or a close friend that is comfortable with them, that owns them. And if not, seek out someone in your community that offers training on those sorts of things, because there are people out there that will not only train you on how to use them, but they will help you with selecting the right ones for you in your situation, and even help you go to the store and purchase them and all that. So encourage you to do that, because in a society that collapses when there's no food at the grocery store, possibly the electricity goes down, most likely the electricity is going to go down in a situation like that, crime is just going to be, it's going to be rampant. It's going to be out of control. There's not going to be someone to keep it in check. And so it's going to be very dangerous for you to go out and try to get the water from the creek, the river, or the pond that is in your neighborhood or down the road a little ways. It's going to be very dangerous for you to do that. And it's only going to be up to you to provide security for yourself, and keep the marauders, like we call them, the thugs, that are going to be out looking for people that they can take from. So consider that. Can't stress that enough. Consider that. Let's see, and the last one is energy. So a lot of people can't afford to go out and get a lot of alternate energy sources like generators. Some people have gasoline generators. That's great as long as there's gasoline available, but you have to assume at some point there may not be gas available. So a lot of people are looking at solar, which is a great option, but it's also very, very expensive. If you happen to be someone who has a good budget and you can afford some solar, great. There's links down below to my favorite company that I purchased all my solar from. Highly recommend them. And in fact, I hadn't mentioned this yet, but there are links down below for all of these 5 categories that I've talked about with some recommended products. Now, some of the products on that list down below are budget friendly, okay? They're not the best quality, but they work, and they'll get you by for a period of time. And there are some products down there that are much better quality that will last you a long time if your budget allows for that. But I would recommend bookmarking this video so you can easily get to that list and go down there and review it and look at all the different categories and look at the things that you may need that you don't currently have, and then you can see what it is that I recommend. Hey, this video is starting to get long, so we're going to cut it off right there. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. If you are new, and I'm assuming you will be, click the subscribe button and stick around, because I have a lot of videos and a lot of information I have already put out, and a lot more that will be coming forth that I think will help you. And if this video was beneficial to you, please give me that thumbs up. It's very important that I get those thumbs up, because that's how you can support this channel without it costing you anything at all. And that is very much appreciated. Hey, that's it for this video. You know, stick around, and I'll stick up a couple other videos here that you'll probably enjoy. And if you click on those, I will see you in one of the other videos. Take care.